Final guest is the Grand Master of British comedy, 74 years old and still at it, so to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Monkhouse.
Thank you, folks. Posh new bugs.
Posh new bugs.
Posh new bugs. I love that.
Because you're talking about clubs, I mean, like you and Lulu, I mean, you worked at all those clubs, didn't you?
Yeah.
All those clubs.
Oh, the dregs. Some of those clubs. You did 2 shows, second show, same audience, different owner.
So we'll talk about those in just a moment. First of all, I've got to say to you, you're a remarkable looking corpse. You're a goner, for God's sake.
I know. Well, the Sunday People said a year ago that I had the dreaded cancer, and from that I got over 3,500 wonderful letters.
Did you?
Which actually made Jackie and me weep because they were so wonderful.
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
They really were moving.
Yeah.
And that came about. I didn't know I had cancer for about a year, I think. I just got constipated, is what happened to me, and I tried everything I could to relieve that, and the doctor said, no, that's not going to work. Taking laxatives and things. Are you familiar with the term fecal impaction? And I said, I think I saw that with Glenn Close. Honestly, God, you know what it is?
No,
it's a build-up of waste matter that you can't get rid of. And it builds up and builds up and builds up, and you just can't get it. It's like terracotta in there. So they said, we'll take you into the hospital in London, Princess Grace. And I was in and out. Princess Grace, they tried suppositories. I learned the origin of that old gag, knock, knock, who's their friend or enema? And but they just couldn't shift him. And I was, by that time, I'd been in Princess Grace more often than Prince Rainier. Yeah, just get one in.
What time is it?
A nice edit, nice edit.
Are you all right? The time is.
Lovely hospital. Posh new bogs. Yeah. They tried everything, and they couldn't. Then they gave me this incredible purgative, which they said would work in 60 minutes. Now, it takes my driver, Robert Purdy, about an hour and 10 minutes to drive me from London to my home in Bedfordshire. And I said, this is going to work in around about an hour. 34 minutes and 14 seconds he did that drive. And then they took me into the Sainsbury wing of the Northwick Hospital, which is in Harrow, and did some blood tests, because they couldn't understand why you saw me last.
I did.
At Laurie Holloway's and Marion's.
You're a terrible stick. You're on sticks, for God's sake.
I was on sticks. I looked like a ghost.
Yeah, you shriveled and all that.
That's right, I was so puckered. And... You heard me. Mind like a sewer, Peter Kay. You know, the first time I met this incredible man was, he was on the judging panel, long before he was qualified for it, of new comedians up in Edinburgh, and I was hosting the thing. And I'd seen him on the Royal Variety performance, and I thought he was sensational then. So I knew he was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
You did.
He'd done one of the great comic minds. Really wonderful. I admire that so much. There's one or two great young comedians around. I think Dominic Holland's coming on so strongly. Milton Jones, who actually put me on the floor with a line of his when he said, oh, he's a great comic, he said, Italians, slanty little eyes. No, that's italics. Lovely.
Nice line.
Great comic.
But going back to the illness, I mean, what happened then? I mean, what kind of treatment did you have? Did you have to have an operation, anything like that?
No, I never had. They said in the press I had chemo.
That's right, all that stuff.
None of that, because they said to me, well, you've got. Can I do a joke here about cancer? Okay.
Can we stop here?
This is not to offend anyone who is struggling with cancer, but I find it there are 2 ways of looking at things. I can't stop the cancer. That's incurable. But I can control the way I look at the cancer. And I think the best way to look at it is see the funny side of it. So inevitably, when they told me my PSA, that's the prostate, my prostate had gone off like a firework and distributed all these tumours all through my system. They were all in my bones, back, spine, about 40 to 45 of them I had. And so he calls me and he tells me this is the specialist. So here's the joke. I said, how long have I got to live? He said, 10. I said, what, months, weeks? He said, 9. Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Right.
Anyway, he said, he said, OK, it's treatable. It's incurable, but it's treatable. Are you prepared to give... Oh, well, it's another response, but I swear to God I said this. He said, are you prepared to give up 50% of your sex life? And I automatically, I said, which half, talking about it or thinking about it? And he wasn't laughing. He said, this is serious. I mean, he was quite angry with me. And I said, I can't see it any way, except I worry about Jackie, what she's going to do if I suddenly pop off, but that's otherwise, I can't see a serious side to this. So he said, are you prepared really to accept hormone therapy, which doesn't work for everybody, apparently, but it works for some. And they implant you with a thing called Zoladex, and it reduces your testosterone, on which the tumours feed. So I said, yeah, that's OK with me. He said, well, you know, it does mean that you won't be quite as potent. I said, you don't know me very well, do you? I said, I'm not worried about that, because as men get older, you do fear losing your virility. Of course you do. But there's all kinds of medical advances, like there's Viagra. There's little blue pills. Have you seen those? You don't use them.
No, Viagra, yes.
No. Not yet.
Well, in case your dear husband says, I'll try this. They're little blue pills. I think they would sell better as an ointment, but I'm not in the business.
But listen, gags apart.
Gags apart. They gave me the implant, and it worked like a treat. My PSA went from over 600 down to 0.1.
So, but you're not cured. You said that.
Oh,
It's
not
incurable.
cured.
But you're controlling it.
Keeping it at bay, keeping it suppressed, keeping it contained, as it were, yes.
It's its own part of growing old, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, which is not a terrible thing. I'm not scared of dying anyway.
You're not?
I'm not thinking death is a terrible thing. Well, the trouble is the next day you're so bloody stiff.
Have you ever thought, the one of the things you do when you go older, you imagine what they're going to say about you when you're gone, don't you? I mean, have you ever thought about the obituary? You know,
No.
Have you not?
No, because I think fame is a very ephemeral thing. Fame, I think, is maybe they'll remember you after you've gone. Maybe they don't. What use is it really, except while you're alive, to use as a tool to help people and help yourself? So fame is a very nice thing to have, but I don't think after you've gone it matters very much what they think of you. And so I don't think about it much.
David Frost, who said, how do you want to be remembered? He said, forever.
Yeah. I think never would do for me, because I think once I've gone, I can no longer function at what I love to do, which is make people laugh. And the only person who will remember me, I don't know whether Jackie and I will go. Will Jackie go first? Or will I go first? She smokes. I don't smoke. I got cancer. She doesn't have cancer. Yeah. So who will go first? So at the moment, it's sort of a waiting game.
But you're still working, you see. I mean, you're still vigorously pursuing your career, aren't you?
Oh, I couldn't stop.
Why is it a compulsion? Is comedy a compulsion?
It's what I'm for.
It's what you're designed for, do you?
Yes. I was designed by nature, as this dear man is, as this lady is absolutely born to sing, and to rise above the problems in life, because you're always in control of your life as regards your attitude towards it. And you can have a positive attitude or you can have a negative attitude. So my attitude has always been, let me hear laughter and let me be the cause of it if possible. Although I'm laughing tonight in the dressing room, listening to Peter just puts me away. And I'm so grateful for that laughter that I like to think people are happy that I can make them laugh.
But also too, I mean you're not a comic like, say, Les Dawson was a comic or Tommy Cooper was a comic.
Oh no.
You're more if you like a kind of a design comic. You design yourself, didn't you? You're a writer first of all.
Yes.
And then you learn how to perform. And you learn how to construct a joke and tell a joke.
Yes.
Didn't you? So with you, it's a kind of science, isn't it?
It's always been it's better than doing crosswords or untying the Gordian knot, because you can't do that. But I listened to Peter when he did his one-man show at the Blackpool Tower Circus.
Oh, yeah.
You use story gags. Like, like you saw your friend running naked through the street with a girl on his back. Do that.
You know, that's an old joke.
It's a great gag.
There's a bloke, I can't remember it. What do you call a man running down the road? You tell it.
OK. my friend's walking, he's running through the street, he's stark naked. He's naked and he's got a woman on his back. I said, where are you going? He shouts a
Fancy
lot.
dress party.
Fancy dress party?
What else?
What are you going as?
A tortoise, this is Michelle. You see, it's not...
lovely.
But I do loads of jokes like I love jokes like little.
He starts off with story jokes like an old-fashioned comic, and then he slips into his lovely observational stuff. And I think that's a great technique. I think it's marvellous.
Yeah.
It pays off.
You once said that stand-up comedy was like sex.
Well, I think it is. I mean, no, I used to watch the great Max Miller having it off with his audience, and...
That's it, having it over the audience.
Yes, and Doddy does it. He flirts with them. He builds that bridge. And it is like sex, because you're romancing them, you're trying to please them, you're making sure they please you, which is it's a two-way traffic, and then you bring them to a climax and have a fag, you know. It's, the most courageous... I think... It's always said that comedians are the most courageous, but I think of singers, and God knows I can't remember lyrics, so I'm terribly...
Neither can I. It doesn't matter.
Thank God for the autocue. But... I think the bravest people I ever knew were the special acts of the old variety days, and some of them were so marvellous. They really were marvellous. They were heroes.
Which was your favourite? There
was a guy who used to do sword swallowing, and he saw some act in Europe swallow a neon tube. And he swallowed a neon tube. It was in your territory, Michael, in Barnsley, at the Barber Club.
The Barber Club,
Peter
Barnsley,
Castle's club.
yes. That used to say Barnsley's gayest continental night spot.
That's right, I'd forgotten that.
In Barnsley, eh?
This poor sod swallowed a neon tube, then switched it on, and it was sensational, the effect, because he'd normally swallowed swords. It was the first time he'd ever done this. First time ever. And it was on the Sunday night, and he swallowed the tube, and it lit up, and it shone through. The people went crazy, and he took a bow out of force of true story. And the wonderful part was, as they carried him off, the St. John guy carried him off on a stretcher, he was lying there, and he looked up and said, "Get a good bit of publicity out of this."
You see,
but it is a true story.
They will appear in Phoenix Nights, won't they?
I
They'll
was
all be there.
thinking about that.
Peter,
Next.
that's a lovely shade of lipstick, Peter.
Well, Bob, and finally, Robert, good to see you back in health, in good health.
Great to be back.
Yeah, and good to see you working hard. And Bob Monkhouse, thank you very much. Bob Monkhouse. Over here. Very good night. Good night.
Just when you thought it was safe to turn on your TV again, here I am.
Gosh, 4 years already. Doesn't time fly? I wanted to die like my father, quietly in his sleep. Not screaming, terrified like his passengers.
The man's accident prone.
I can still hear the screams. What killed me kills 1 man per hour in Britain. That's even more than my wife's cooking. Let's face it, as a comedian, I died many deaths. Prostate cancer, I don't recommend. I'd have paid good money to stay out of here. What's it worth to you?